LSU has not won in South Carolina State since 2017. South Carolina State has won 4 straight. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You ready?
You're invited to the KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair on Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Catch at Audubon Middle School in Leimert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Join us for a day of health, healing, and community connection. There will be health screenings, immunizations, wellness information, a Catch Charter School recruitment fair, plus music and healthy snacks. And it's all free at the KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair, Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Audubon Middle School in Leimert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Come out and bring the entire family. And if you have not yet checked out our KBLA Health and Wellness Hub, you should at KBLA1580.com. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks Catch Charter School, Prudential, Eastside, Cedar Sinai, and St. John's Community Health. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that a healthy community is a thriving community.
That's right, baby.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Friday. Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, where we engage in reflectivity with Miss Gina Towns. Gina Towns is the president of 519 Productions and the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She has a fairly extraordinary biography, which includes the graduation from Hampton University, and also a master's in theological studies from Princeton Theological Seminary. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse Jackson Jr. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Gina.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. And I wish I could say I just got paid. I wish I had Johnny Kemp still living with us.
And there are a lot of people across the country that wish that they could say that as well.
You're so right.
Yeah.
Blessings to the late Johnny Kemp for an extraordinary masterpiece on I Just Got Paid. It happened to be Friday night. So many Americans are struggling right now. But I want to, before we begin our program, give a shout out to St. Jude. KBLA 1580 and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and Fighting Childhood Cancer and Sickle Cell have now linked into a partnership. It starts with a $19 a month monthly pledge by calling 1-800-411-9898 to become a donor and get a t-shirt that says, "This shirt saves lives." Your donation helps saves lives. Again, 1-800-411-9898. Become a monthly donor by pledging $19 to help kids at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital fight cancer. So grateful for the relationship now between KBLA and St. Jude's Hospital. Gina, there's so much going on in the world that I know you want to reflect upon. Share with us your thoughts for this Fat Meat Friday.
Well, yes, you're right. There's a lot. I actually did some research. I thought about in my reflectivity, one of the things that I heard you say during the week, and I want to jump into it a little more deeply in our next segment, but I think that suffice to say, we could start right here. For people who aren't able to see us on the air, I have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I thought that was a great place for us to start our conversation and be reflective. What do you say about that?
I think it's a fantastic place to start. When I reflect back upon in this moment the history of African Americans from 1619 to 1778, the writing of the Constitution of the United States. You know, it's a struggle. It's a struggle from 1619 to the Declaration of Independence, because we were not a nation from 1619 to 1776. We found ourselves as Black people in these colonies, in these territories, but there was no flag to pledge allegiance to. There was no Declaration of Independence in 1619. This doesn't occur until July 4th, 1776. The Constitution of the United States, there is no United States until September 17th, 1787. There's nothing to pledge allegiance to. But when the American people began the idea of having a single country on September 17th, 1787, America is towards something. Obviously, African Americans, people of color, have no citizenship rights in the newly established republic. In 1791, the Bill of Rights obviously does not apply to us. We are still not citizens of the United States. In fact, we find ourselves in a condition of chattel slavery. And so the nation is developing in a real sense, Gina, around us. It's very difficult to pledge allegiance to a flag that does not pledge allegiance to us. We at that time were not one nation under God. We were not indivisible. The states could do with us as they chose. There was no liberty and there was no justice for all. That's my immediate reaction to the subject matter for which you have brought forward today.
Until George Clinton said one nation under a groove.
Oh, is that when it began?
I remember I used to have a sweatshirt that said George Clinton for president. One of the most classic lines, and I won't stay on him very long, but Aqua Boogie, you can to the rhythm, let's see, wait. For what we have to live through, with the rhythm it takes to dance through what we have to live through, you could dance underwater and not get wet. Now that's prolific right there.
Oh, it's very deep.
That's something I could pledge to.
Yeah, and George Clinton could run for president on.
Well, when we come back, I do look forward to continuing this conversation.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns and Reflectivity when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavish Smiley. Southern California Edison confirmed to show up this week for our Altadena Town Hall, but then they reneged on their promise. KBLA Talk 1580 organized a town hall specifically for Black Altadena residents, people whose homes, memories, and futures went up in smoke when SCE's equipment sparked the flames. This wasn't some ambush or gotcha moment. This was a community saying, we need answers. We need to understand how this so-called fast pay program actually works. We need to know if justice will ever reach us. And Edison said no. Let's be crystal clear about what that means. This wasn't a scheduling conflict. This was a choice that tells Black Altadena residents that even after the fire, even after the devastation, even after admitting fault through the settlement program, they still don't matter enough for a couple of hours of Edison's time. You know what takes courage? Facing people you've harmed, sitting in a room and yes, live on talk radio with folks who lost everything because of your infrastructure failures and explaining how you intend to make it right. That takes backbone. That's what real accountability looks like. When you're the reason people lost everything, you don't get to cancel on survivors waiting for answers. You don't get to send your regrets to KBLA and call it a day. This is about respect, or rather, the complete lack of it. This is the same pattern of neglect that may have led to the fires in the first place, and now they're doubling down on disrespect in the aftermath. The residents of Altadena have endured enough hell. And now they are navigating the nightmare of settlement claims, trying to understand what they are actually entitled to receive. Southern California Edison, you owe Black Altadena more than money. You owe them your presence, your transparency, your time, and you owe KBLA Talk 1580 a public apology, I might add. And until we get it, we're going to keep emailing the top dog at SCE, Mr. Pedro Pizarro. His email is pedro.pizarro@sce.com. Pizarro spelled Pizarro. Pedro.pizarro@sce.com. Or you can call 626-302-2255 and then press the number 1. That's 626-302-2255 and then press the number 1 to speak to a live person and express yourself. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Imagine being a million miles away. Tremfya Kuselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit tremfya.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Fat Meat Fridays and Activity with Gina Towns. You can help families facing childhood cancer, sickle cell, and other life-threatening diseases by becoming a monthly supporter of St. Jude's Children's Hospital. St. Jude treats the sickest kids regardless of their race, beliefs, or ability to pay. Become a partner in hope by calling 1-800-411-9898. Again, 1-800-411-9898. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Reflectivity
Thank you, Jesse.
and Fat Meat Friday.
My day has even just turned into more fat meat. From the time I woke up, it wasn't that we had enough during the week, but certainly it's just been a lot today. I engaged in a conversation with a friend of mine today who said, I really want to stop talking in terms of race. And it prompted me to think about something that you said during the week. And you brought up the song that perhaps many school-aged children don't know anymore. But it's "This land is your land. This land is mine." You're supposed to sing with me. You sing all the time on the show. Okay. Everybody that is listening, you have heard this man do Conjunction Junction. Anyhow, this land is your land.
Yeah.
This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. I think that I put these lyrics down. So let's take a look.
You know, as you wrestle with the lyrics, I mean, if you think about it, so much of the history of African Americans and why I'm so grateful to Jesse Jackson with the label African American and creating such a label, it recognizes the hybrid of who Black people are. I have been to every continent, every country on the continent of Africa. And with all of my cultural and Afrocentric sensibilities, at the end of my stay for a week or two, I want to get back home.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back to Constance Avenue in Chicago. I want to get back to East 72nd Street in Chicago, or when I lived in Washington, D.C., I wanted to get back home because deep down within myself, I am as much on some of these questions an American as I am African.
Mm-hmm.
I am African in our culture, in the disrespect of our people, in the oppression, in the richness of our history from the tribes in Nigeria and the western part of the African continent to the Egyptians in Egypt to the Libyans to the north to the Moroccans, all the way down to the South Africans, even in the middle, the Congo. I am right there. In fighting colonialization and recognizing the richness of our people and the cradle of civilization. I'm right there. But we're unique. And in a real sense, biblically, I'd like to think of us as Jonah in the belly of the whale. I'd like to see us as having vital organs, access to vital organs within the whale. We can make it holler, we can make it scream, we can make it sing. But if African Americans were not in the United States in what John Lewis called the conscience of America, it is not likely in the present regime that we would be allowed to migrate to the United States legally one way or the other. It is because we've earned our citizenship rights. It is because we've amended America and shaped her culture and our society after who we are. So I am... when I say this land is my land, my people are buried here in Greenville, South Carolina. My family is going to be buried in Oakwood Cemetery on 67th Street. I've got generations of family members buried in Florida and in Virginia, men and women who've fought in every major war in the United States in the 20th century, who are members of my family. My DNA analysis shares with me. I'm not going anywhere. Everything that is America is also mine. This is my land. This is our land. We have a right to shape our government. We have a right to have our grievances addressed. We have a right to reshape our government. And according to the architects of our republic, when a government becomes abusive of our human ends, we also have a right to get rid of this thing when it's not serving those of us who consider this land to be our land.
Well, thank you for that. I think that's along the lines of what I heard you say, and it certainly struck a chord with me, has stayed with me. And in my conversation this morning, I brought to my friend's attention that it's almost impossible in the United States to not talk about the issue of race in our land, because it is the foundation of our history. If you go through and look at all the research that certainly you've done, but you put it on the backdrop of America, you see even the Voting Rights Act as it has come back to bite in the past several weeks. You see that it's based on race. It's based on the fact that Black people, brown people, but predominantly Black people were not allowed to vote. And even back before that, in the Civil War, you didn't own any land because you were in chattel slavery. And so the issue of land and the fact that you feel like, and we should feel like, this is our land too, is very important. And I think that we have to put it in terms where people can understand it. And so I did a little bit of research. I just started just fumbling around, quite frankly. I was like, who wrote this song? And his name is Woody Guthrie, Woodrow Wilson Guthrie. His parents named him after the Democratic president. So Jesse, in a little bit of history lesson, tell us a little bit about Woodrow Wilson as a president.
He was an intellectual racist, a so-called scholar at Yale University. He might be the most scientific racist that's ever been president of the United States. And his disposition and attitude towards Black people, intellectually and scientifically, bar none, probably exceeds any president of the United States. He is buried today in the nation's capital in the Washington Cathedral on Massachusetts and Wisconsin Avenue. In fact, he is the only president interred in the National Cathedral. There are many others who are deceased there, bishops of the church who are buried in the National Cathedral. But Woodrow Wilson is buried in the National Cathedral, and he is the one who allowed "Birth of a Nation" to be played in the White House. He was the president of the United States, I believe, at the hour that the Ku Klux Klan led a major march in Washington, D.C., not unlike our March for Jobs and Justice in 1963, led by the Pullman Porters, where Martin Luther King Jr. delivered the "I Have a Dream" speech. He was that guy.
Mm-hmm. He was that guy. And so the fact that his parents chose to name their child after him said a lot to me when I first started reading. Woody Guthrie was born in 1912. And he died in 1967. So the time in which he lives is a very interesting time. And in the research that I found, they were in Oklahoma at a time when the Klan was moving into the Triangle, which is Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Wewoka. And it said that he believed his father to be a member of the Klan. But throughout his life, as he traveled, because he was a songwriter and a poet, he began to see other people. As he traveled the United States, he moved from New York to California, from Oklahoma. And so here is where you get his observation of the land as he drove across the country and he met various people and he told his story and heard the story of other people. So if you are not watching and you get an opportunity to watch this podcast, you will see him displayed in a picture here in a coffee shop, if you will. That was the first picture that I saw of Woody Guthrie. Then I ran across this next picture where these men appear to be Black. And I said, okay, so he's a musician. What happened in his space? And I know some of the conversations that we've had have to do with our own evolution. And I know Ernest Krim, our favorite millennial, is a gangbusters on always knowing that there were other people and in a human sense who have come forward to fight for civil rights along the way. And I have now found that the author of "This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land" is one of those people. He actually became a civil rights activist along his life, and at a time when it was not popular to bring Black musicians onto the stage and bring them into venues with you. He brought Black musicians to his white musician friends, and they began to play together. And as I said, he passed in 1967. So this is, a transformation, an evolution, not only for him, but for people during that era. He was called a communist as a result of his beliefs and his behavior. So I found him to just be a very fascinating person. I never would have guessed that song, which is a folk song, if you will, would have been written by someone who evolved as he did.
He probably, when you think about his name and his early, when he was raised, his early evolution, he was probably someone who was a victim or believed in the idea of the doctrine of discovery. Because as he moved from one end of the country to the other, he was certainly looking at the land of the indigenous. He certainly bumped into and had relations with African Americans. And Woody Guthrie evolved from a casual racist in his youth to a vocal advocate for racial justice, spurred by interactions with Black people and the influence of the Communist Party USA and the Black press. He confronted racism directly through his music, such as writing songs about the killings of the Ferguson brothers and the Trenton Six, and by joining anti-racist activism like the Peekskill Riots protests. Guthrie's commitment to racial equality is also evident in his decision to move his family to a racially integrated housing project in Brooklyn, which led him to write songs criticizing, listen to this, criticizing his landlord. And who was his landlord? Fred Trump. for his discriminatory housing practices. How about that?
How about
he went
that?
from being a casual racist to a critique and criticizer of how Donald Trump's father was treating Black people in housing in New York City. So when Donald Trump takes on Mamdani for mayor, or he makes Eric Adams dance before the public, or you think about the towers that he owns and the opportunities that he had and the bankruptcies that he has gone through and the way in which he has treated Tish James, and you think about Donald Trump is not an aberration. He is a family with deep racist roots in New York City. New Yorkers know exactly who Donald Trump is. And there is almost nothing, root and branch, that Donald Trump can say about Zoran Mamdani that people who know who Donald Trump is care less about. I mean, they couldn't care one way or the other because they know who the Trumps are in New York City, and it goes that deep. How deep does it go? It goes so deep that a casual racist named Woody Guthrie would actually write a song. This land is your land. This land is my land. This land was made for you and me. He would write a song that speaks to the treatment in his housing in New York City by the Trump family. So when Donald Trump says he's going to tear up New York because of the election of Mamdani, this is a very privileged white man right here in New York City who probably remembers when the Brooklyn Bridge was built, when the tunnels were built. The Trumps were present for that activity, and there's a certain entitlement that comes with these guys.
Yeah. You know, as we close out this segment, Woody Guthrie said this about Fred Trump. He said he would tell young Donald, as Michael Antonio relates in his recent biography, it's never enough. And also be a killer.
Wow. Whatever I thought about that. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Travelers across the country are facing major delays as FAA cuts take effect amid the ongoing government shutdown. This man is stranded at LAX.
Just feels like there's not much else we can do about it except feel upset.
About 4% of flights are grounded at major airports, with that number expected to reach 10% next week. Former Black NFL star Antonio Brown faced a New Jersey judge after being extradited from Dubai on attempted murder charges. He'll now be transferred to Florida, accused of opening fire outside a Miami boxing event in May after claiming he was jumped by men trying to steal his jewelry. And Black Atlanta native Tyler Perry is giving back amid the ongoing government shutdown, donating $1.4 million to Georgia charities, including Baby to Baby, the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and Meals on Wheels Atlanta. Perry told People magazine that those who've never struggled may not understand how crucial SNAP benefits are. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Important game for the USC football team tonight at the Coliseum. The number 19 Trojans are at home against Northwestern at 6-2 overall. The Trojans need a win to remain in contention for the 12-team NCAA playoffs. 3 losses could knock them out of consideration. UCLA is back in action tomorrow night after a bye week. The Bruins take on Nebraska at the Rose Bowl. Interesting game for UCLA interim coach Tim Skipper. Skipper needs to impress the administration to show he can get the team back on track after a major setback in their last game. A 56-6 loss at number 2 Indiana. 6 o'clock kickoff tomorrow night. Fox Sports will have live coverage if you're not going to the game. The top HBCU football game this weekend features Howard at South Carolina State. Howard, known to some folks as the real HU, has not won at South Carolina State since 2017. South Carolina State has won 4 straight. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Spend an evening with philosopher and writer Kwame Anthony Appiah at Pomona College on Saturday, November 8th at 4 p.m. at the John A. Payton Distinguished Lectureship. Author of the New York Times column The Ethicist, Appiah has been identified as one of foreign policy's top 100 public intellectuals and is a National Humanities Medal recipient. This event is free and open to the public, but tickets are required. Visit pomona.edu/Payton-ticket to reserve tickets now. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money, or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special contributor on this Reflectivity and Fat Meat Fridays is none other than Gina Towns. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse, and happy Friday to you.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Gina. Since 1962, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital has led the fight against childhood cancer, raising survival rates from 20% to over 80%. Families never receive a bill for their treatment, travel, housing, or food. Help St. Jude by pledging $19 monthly. Call 1-800-411-9898 and get your This Shirt Saves Lives t-shirt. Again, 1-800-411-9898. Gina, you brought up a very, very important subject matter today. Woody Guthrie.
Isn't it amazing?
It increasingly is so. I did a little bit of research on Donald Trump's role as a landlord tenant in New York. I think we're beginning to dig a little bit deeper into what the American people actually did when they voted for him the first time and what they did when they voted for him the second time. Donald Trump has an interesting relationship with the Federal Housing Administration, the FHA. And Guthrie's life brings that to our attention. The Federal Housing Administration has a well-documented history of implementing and institutionalizing racist housing policies, most notably redlining and promoting racially restrictive covenants, which contributed significantly to residential segregation and the racial wealth gap in the United States. Here are a couple of aspects of this history. The official policy of segregation between 1934 and 1968. From its establishment in 1934, the FHA adopted underwriting standards that explicitly favored white middle-class families and actively disadvantaged Black Americans and other minorities. The agency's underwriting manual recommended the use of restricted covenants, which were clauses in property deeds that prohibited the sale of homes to non-white people. Redlining. The FHA, in alignment with the Homeowners Loan Corporation, HOLC, maps color-coded neighborhoods to indicate that perceived financial risk of insuring mortgages. Areas with Black residents, regardless of the resident's income or quality of the housing, were automatically colored red or D-graded and deemed hazardous or risky for mortgage insurance. This effectively cut off these communities from the primary source of legitimate low-cost home loans. Third, the promotion of white suburbs. At the same time, the FHA subsidized developers who built massive white-only suburban subdivisions, such as Levittown, and guaranteed mortgages for white families moving into these new communities. Between 1934 and 1962, the FHA and the GI Bill, which adopted FHA standards, backed over $120 billion in loans, with over 98% going to white families and less than 2% going to people of color. So when our brothers and sisters voted for Donald Trump to be president of the United States the first time, and when they voted for him to be president of the United States the second time, they put him over the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And they also put Donald Trump over the FHA. Now, there is more history of the FHA discriminating against Black people and people of color than there is a history of Black people getting help from the FHA. But we, the American people, this land is supposed to be our land, we turned the FHA over to Donald Trump. Not just Donald Trump being the bad guy, but the history of the FHA itself promoted white subdivisions, provided loans to white folks, gave less than 2% of their loans to Black families. And then here we come, after Brown versus the Board of Education, after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, after the Voting Rights Act of 1965, here we come fighting for fair housing because the government itself was promoting unfair housing. How about that? And we put this guy over it. I bet you we could go down the history of discrimination in every federal agency and the extent to which every federal agency has participated in racial segregation, in discrimination against people of color that was never remedied except and but for the Civil Rights Act and the Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s.
And so even as the Northern migration took place after slavery, when Blacks, newly freed slaves, or people who weren't going to sharecrop became aware of opportunities in the North, you find them coming to cities like Chicago, where the Chicago Housing Authority had problems regulating, had problems placing people in housing. So now you have pit Black people against white people, and not to mention the Hispanic population. And so that's why you have some of the existing segregated housing that persists in Chicago to this day, because the housing authority did not take care of it, not only on a national level, but then when you had cities who had influxes of new people coming in. Now, that's pretty prevalent today. That's part of this immigration, migrant, don't want to live, can't find a place to live episode that we see unfolding today. But what's interesting about the whole situation with Fred Trump and what Woody Guthrie would later have a problem with is that Trump was a part of that larger system. And so the housing in which Woody Guthrie lived in was sanctioned by the federal government, and it was primarily poised to receive veterans coming back who had fought in World War II. Now, what's really interesting about that as well is that there were not going to be too many Black veterans. They weren't even welcome to necessarily fight in World War II. They were still experiencing segregation even in the ranks of the Army. So to your point, you could go through almost every agency and find that existence.
I mean, when you think, it is mind-boggling to think that when the FHA was established in 1934, that it came into existence as an organization within the government to promote the policy of segregation. Let me say that again. What we call fair housing today, or the Fair Housing Association, which is part of the federal government, it uses the term fair housing, but it comes into existence, established in 1934, to bring forward the official government policy of segregation. Hence its loans, its underwriting, redlining, the promotion of white suburbs, the devaluation of integrated neighborhoods. As soon as somebody Black married somebody white, or there were a neighborhood where somebody white married somebody Black and the mulattoes were there, and they devalued the neighborhoods that they were in. Because the organization itself never was about fair housing. It was about the promotion of segregated housing, separate and unequal housing. Don't forget now, the Department of Education came into existence in 1979. It was not founded at the inception of the nation. When the Department of Education comes into existence at the end of the Carter administration and at the beginning of the Reagan administration, it comes into existence to overcome the basis of segregation in education. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Y'all get me hot today on this Friday. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, KBLA Talk 1580. More with Gina Towns when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Open enrollment is your opportunity to choose a plan that connects you to Providence's comprehensive healthcare network. Choose a plan that includes Providence and gain access to a dedicated team of highly trained primary care physicians and specialists. from nationally recognized doctors and hospitals, Providence ensures quality care is always within reach. When you choose Providence, you choose after-hours care through our nurse advice line, urgent care, or virtual express care. You choose 24/7 access through the Providence mobile app to message providers, request prescription refills, schedule appointments, check lab results, and more. This open enrollment, prioritize your well-being with the peace of mind that comes from choosing a provider that values excellence and compassionate care. Don't just choose a plan. Choose a plan dedicated to health equity and community engagement. Choose a plan that believes health is a human right. Choose a plan that delivers exceptional care and cares about your community. Choose a plan that offers Providence. Visit chooseprovidence.org to learn more.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at Walk Good LA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college, It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays and Reflectivity with Gina Towns. We are here ready to help save lives. Join me in supporting St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. For just $19 a month, you can help families battling cancer and other deadly diseases. Call 1-800-411-9898 to become a partner in hope and receive your This Shirt Saves Lives t-shirt. Don't wait, call now. Again, it's 1-800-411-9898. Tina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. Great discussion today.
I'm enjoying myself.
I absolutely am as well. You know, I found it really curious that the only Black person in the Trump administration is over housing.
Yeah, he doesn't say very much either.
We don't see him.
No, he's, and when you think about the FHA loan and you think about its foundation as a tool of the government to promote segregation, the irony, of course, is that the Trump administration, Secretary of Housing Development, is African American. The other irony is that the Housing and Urban Development branch of the government, it's like the black job, right? Like the majority of secretaries who've been African Americans in any one department, they're all in housing, but they're in that organization within the government, the agency within the government that was founded for the purposes of supporting segregation with public monies and loans to create segregated neighborhoods. And now the same organization is largely tasked with overcoming and fighting discrimination in the very communities that the loans went to create and strengthen segregation in the first place, with minimal loans having been available for African Americans at its inception, for veterans, and for others, including the LGBTQIA community. At the inception of the FHA, they would have never been able to get a loan to move into a segregated community until the fair housing laws came into existence, challenging the government's direction in this era. So when you think about Donald Trump with the FHA starting in 1934, which is just before he was born, and his father having taken advantage of the FHA in the development of New York housing. When you think about it, Gina, when Donald Trump says he wants to make America great again, he wants to go back to a government that lent developers money to promote segregated housing, to promote segregated communities, to promote segregated schools, to protect and preserve the culture of white America. Before Brown versus the Board of Education, before the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So he's somewhere in his thinking between the end of the Civil War, First Reconstruction, somewhere towards the end of First Reconstruction, when there were 16 blacks in Congress, 2 in the Senate, 14 in the House. He had no problem at all with no blacks being in Congress or the Senate. So he's okay with somewhere around 1896, 1905. That's where his thinking, in my opinion, begins. Right up until suddenly the fair housing laws no longer reflected segregation. So that'd be somewhere around 1968. Donald Trump's world is then perfectly positioned between the end of First Reconstruction, the end of blacks in Congress, and when the FHA had to end segregated housing and it began a thrust towards desegregation. Donald Trump's whole world is between, I'd say, 1906 and 1968.
Yeah, and so is the author of the song.
Mm.
Woody Guthrie was born, as I said, in 1912, and he died in 1967 at the age of 55. And so he had lived through, obviously, a lifetime of segregation and Jim Crow, but certainly during the civil rights fight as it began and started to get legs, he saw it unfolding. He decided to take a stand. And when he was older, he would say, outside of McCarthyism, I'm not a communist, I'm a communist. He attributed that directly to the teachings of Jesus Christ. When Jesus Christ tells the rich to give all his goods to the poor, a rich man can't get to heaven. He said they are the teachings that called out what I needed to believe, and I supported them. People with money and who were homeless, that was a big deal to him in the Dust Bowl of Oklahoma as he was growing up. So he attributes that to what he learned, and he really took what was going on toward the end of his life and his experiences seriously, and his travels around the world. And so one of the things that I wanted to reflect on today, because I was a little bit shocked, this is not the direction that I wanted the show to go in today. But what it said to me was that because we have a parent or we have a history that we feel like we grew up in or is common to us, we don't have to stay in that vein. We don't have to stay with that ideology. But what it does require is for us to step outside of what is comfortable for us, that we are uncomfortable enough to travel, to see other people, to engage them, and so that we learn something different. And that is how we got a song like "This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land." And if he were still living today, and he did not get to hear Dr. Martin Luther King with his "I Have a Dream" speech, but I think in writing this song, he did have a dream.
Gina, thank you for your reflectivity and word of hope on this Bat Me Friday. Jesse Jackson Jr., more with Gina Towns and our very special guest, Wilmer Leon, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Travelers across the country are facing major delays as FAA cuts take effect amid the ongoing government shutdown. This man is stranded at LAX.
Just feels like there's not much else we can do about it except feel upset.
About 4% of flights are grounded at major airports, with that number expected to reach 10% next week. Former Black NFL star Antonio Brown faced a New Jersey judge after being extradited from Dubai on attempted murder charges. He'll now be transferred to Florida, accused of opening fire outside a Miami boxing event in May after claiming he was jumped by men trying to steal his jewelry. And Black Atlanta native Tyler Perry is giving back amid the ongoing government shutdown, donating $1.4 million to Georgia charities, including Baby to Baby, the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and Meals on Wheels Atlanta. Perry told People magazine that those who've never struggled may not understand how crucial SNAP benefits are. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Important game for the USC football team tonight at the Coliseum. The number 19 Trojans are at home against Northwestern at 6-2 overall. The Trojans need a win to remain in contention for the 12-team NCAA playoffs. 3 losses could knock them out of consideration. UCLA is back in action tomorrow night after a bye week. The Bruins take on Nebraska at the Rose Bowl. Interesting game for UCLA interim coach Tim Skipper. Skipper needs to impress the administration to show he can get the team back on track after a major setback in their last game. A 56-6 loss at number 2 Indiana. 6 o'clock kickoff tomorrow night. Fox Sports will have live coverage if you're not going to the game. The top HBCU football game this weekend features Howard at South Carolina State. Howard, known to some folks as the real HU, has not won at South Carolina State since 2017. South Carolina State has won 4 straight. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you missed the recent Left Coast Forum, then you really missed out. An insightful presentation from Professor Richard Wolff, a call to action from LA Mayor Karen Bass, an insider's view on Prop 50 and the government shutdown from Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove, and as usual, Dr. Cornel West brought down the House with a powerful closing keynote. And many of the plenary sessions were standing room only. Check out our social media posts for photos and video of what you missed at the Left Coast Forum and make plans to attend one of our upcoming events. Our next Altadena Town Hall is Thursday, November 6th, 4 to 6 p.m. at Victory Bible Church in Pasadena. We're going to interrogate SoCal Edison's settlement fund and see what's really going on with this fire recovery program. And our KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair is Saturday, November the 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here in Lemert Park at Catch at Audubon Middle School. All the details about these upcoming events can be found at our website, KBLA1580.com. So thanks again to all those who supported the Left Coast Forum, and a special thanks to our partners this year. The LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, Partnership for Growth, UTLA, LA Care Health Plan, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and the Liberty Hill Foundation.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Fat Meat Fridays. Since 1962, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital has led the fight against childhood cancer, raising survival rates from 20% to over 80%. Families never receive a bill for treatment, travel, housing, or food. Help St. Jude by pledging $19 monthly. Call 1-800-411-9898 and get your This Shirt